G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. Now I know that we are just about to get some diamond units, but for the first time ever Global and JP are completely synced, I believe, and it's time to do end of year tier lists, which is everybody's favorite. I always get such interesting comments telling me to quit the game, but I stick with my opinions, and you know what, at the end of the day, this is opinions. Who cares? All the top 10 units are so good that ultimately I think you could shove any of them in the top 5 positions, and as long as you justify it with whatever team build you got, I vibe with you. But we're going to take a look at pretty much the top 10, give or take. There'll be a couple extras here or there where I'll give them caveats. I'm going to be ranking them 1 to 10. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and yeah, we'll just 8, 9, 10. But really, the space in between, generally speaking, is not big. So if you see a unit here and you're like, wow, how could he put it at number 1? The thing is, could probably be number 3. That's just how it is. So first, let's fill up the roster with the units I think are really there. So obviously, look, we'll include easy A's and everything. I think we have to include easy A's and do them all as one for LRs. It's just a bit too confusing. It's not like TURs. So Beast Gohan definitely I think is there. Movie Gogeta definitely I think is there. The Gammas I'd like to discuss, but yeah, just out of interest, they could potentially be there. I think we have to talk about MUI Goku. Cell Max is definitely on the list. Jiren could potentially be there. We have, of course, MUI Goku, of course, Vegeta. I definitely think those guys are there. Then, you know, we have to discuss Broly, all the new LR Broly's. I think Gotenks definitely is on the list. I think the trio is definitely on the list if I can find them somewhere. Not that trio, this trio. Although that trio is pretty cool, but yeah, not as cool. And then I think we'll round it out with Buhan, Janemba, the latest Easy A there for Goku and Vegeta. And I would like to, let's see, is there anyone that I'm missing that I really like? I'd like to talk about Broly, definitely. I think we can talk about these guys. And then let's talk about, I think, you know what, I think that's it. I think that's definitely the top units. I'm going to go on and Piccolo out just because I want to talk about them. But yeah, I think that's definitely the I would consider top. I think Martian, you know what, I was talking about Vegeta as well. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the units. Let's talk a little bit first about why I'm going to kick some of these guys out, because I think that's important to note. So it's basically the last couple guys that I added in. Unfortunately, I put them in to take them out, but I wanted to explain why. So Vegeta I think is excellent, but his restrictions are so intense, needing essentially a Majin Goku and a Goku in that rotation to really make him shine, that it's so limiting that although he's excellent, he is absolutely excellent in specifically only one situation. And I know everyone's going to say, but what about Jiren? Jiren technically doesn't have a restriction. His team that he leads is a small Universe 11, but he could run on the USS without having any hindrance. So he's there. Piccolo and Gohan suffer a similar thing, whereby they just aren't doing enough on their limited categories, and they don't aid their team in the way that's required to really give them that boost into the top area. Broly suffers as well from the fact that although he can do demonstrous damage, like absolutely demonstrous damage, having used him a lot, there are certain events where he is objectively the most intense, crazy looking unit I've ever seen. And then there's times where he just does not really kick off. Not bad at all, but just doesn't kick off. And then we have the blue boys, who I think are great, but just don't stand up. They don't sit at the table with these two guys, and I think that just shows for them. So I wanted to talk about that. Almost made a big mistake. My boy, Gohan, absolute machine. Okay, so let's talk now about. Let's split the units into kind of like the top 5 and then like the bottom 5, I guess. So near the top, I'm gonna have Gohan. No, just kidding. But yeah, I'm gonna have Gohan. I'll definitely have Gohan. Broly is 100% up there. Goku and Vegeta up there. Janemba is definitely up there. The SS Trio is definitely up there. This isn't any order for now. We're just putting them in the top 5 spaces so that I have them filled up. Gotenks is toying with that frame as well. And I think that's definitely probably the top half. Then toying down on the bottom half here, we have these kind of guys. Objectively, kind of like this, I guess you could almost say. And then I would probably say maybe like this for me. But now let's actually rearrange them. So let's start with the bottom because I think that's more interesting. So skirting on the outside of the top, I guess 15. But skirting on the outside of the top 15, we have Silmax, Jiren, and Buhan. Now, Buhan is objectively premium boosted by the fact that he and this Janemba are like a idiosyncratic, like they are so hot together. They are so good together. They are insane together. They are just so strong, so fundamentally good. It's really, really awesome. And yeah, he's boosted by that a lot. Cellmax at the same time is also boosted, but he actually was kind of inversely affected by the fact that there were so many new good premium level Broly's and Janembas and units all thrown in that pushed him on his team, that he's now more of like a floater. And his defensive capabilities are really tied in to him having dupes and him being really strong early on, that he almost he lost out by the fact that his team got so many strong units at once. It turned him from being like, wow, the best extreme unit, to being like the 6th or 7th best extreme unit, and it's just how it is. And then Jiren. So Jiren, look, I'm putting Jiren here. The reason I'm putting Jiren here, and some people have him higher for sure, individually he does an insane amount of production. Like, he does an absolutely insane level of production. He is an incredibly good unit. I think he's great. I do think he has caveats. I think he's not really a first slot tank. He can be in the moment, but he's not really. I don't think so. He can get ravaged by certain supers. But also what really makes him suffer is the fact that he links best with the Jiren. And the tech Jirens are really good, but ultimately not at the same level as the partners that exist for these other units. And I think that ties him down. Whereas like Cellmax and even Buhan have partners that exist in this upper frame here, he doesn't really. Like, okay, maybe you can link him with these guys, but he just doesn't have that top tier partner that in turn elevates him. Look, the Gammas I could arguably place further below. Maybe I might do something like this. The Gammas are great. The Gammas are really, really great. And I think they, functionally for me are awesome. But they are limited big time in terms of categories. And they really want to link with a Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. If a Gamma 1, 2 duo or Gamma 1 or 2 get an easy A, these guys could push all the way up here. Because the moment they have like a set first up partner with 5 or 6 links, you're going to have them supporting that unit to being insane, and them themselves being insane on top of it. Then movie Gogeta, look, great unit, good lead. I think a lot of people underestimate him a lot, and I kind of like that about him. But he definitely needs dupes, and I think with dupes you have a fun, awesome unit that's a bit of a gamble, but can be so devastating. Still has one of, I think, the highest damage turns in the game. But yeah, you know, I think he's still a rung below these units, at least in terms of reliability. MUI Goku, the nullification of evasion is absolutely amazing. It's an incredibly useful skill. It does not, unfortunately, make him usable enough. He's great. Look, he leads a strong team that features these guys. It features a couple units that we've let down here that are really good. And there are events that change completely because of his skill. But as a unit, he can still be caught out technically. And there is that weird intro phase where he's not necessarily as strong as his MUI form. He's still really good, and you could easily, like I said, push him here and do this, and I wouldn't bat an eyelid. You could do this, you could do that. It just depends on how you play him, but I think he's really good, deservedly in the top side of things. Then we have the 6th anniversary LRs. I'm not going to separate them. Personally, I like Vegeta more than Goku, so this does technically represent my true thought. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them, but they're the guys. As a rotation, they're awesome. As units, they're awesome. They do exactly what you want them to do. Vegeta does exactly what you want him to do. Goku does exactly what you want him to do. They are super good. Obviously, Goku, there's that, need to have this guy if you want him to function in certain events at his full capacity. But the revive generally helps him. Like, even when I was facing Golden Frieza and 17, the Goku having the revive was so crucial. And then just outside the top is Int Broly. I think Int Broly is great. I think his active skill is great. I just don't get why you would run double Int Broly over double Tech Broly. The majority of their teams share a ton of units. Yes, there's one or two that don't, but functionally for me, overall, it's the Tech Broly, so I'd rather have double. Uncontrollable power is cool because you can incorporate the Janemba Buhan combo, but it's not enough reason for me to warrant to rather have 2 of him than 2 of him. That's as simple as I put it. Everything else he does is great. He's really good. I think the missing factor for him was having 1 built-in additional somewhere. That would have taken him to like here. He would have just been so devastating. Next, we need to talk about the top half. So first, this needs a little bit of tweaking. So these guys need to push up to here. I'm going to push him up to here. I'm going to push them here. I'm going to leave them here and then do this. I think for me, maybe something like this. And then we're going to have to talk about this. Okay, so let's talk about these ones first. So Janemba could easily be here, here, or here. Janemba is great. Janemba is incredibly good. He needs to link with another extreme unit, so there is that big red bosses factor. He is on really, really strong teams here with uncontrollable power and also movie bosses. The big thing with Janemba, I have no issues with him. Obviously, as a unit, technically he requires some build-up time. I think that's not a huge issue, but yeah, it is probably the only thing that's a little bit of a hindrance for him. But generally, I just really like him. Could very easily just stick him here. I think he's on par with these guys, if not with Gotenks. Like, I think these guys all probably could sit like here, and then you'd have these 2 tiers. There's like a little gap between them, but it's fine. The SS Trio, I think, are great. They're a fantastic sport. They enable so many teams, so many units, so many different types of units. Yeah, I just can't complain. I think they're great. I think their leader skill is good. Really, the only thing preventing them from being in the top is their own individual stats. lack a little bit behind the others. They are immense, they are great, I love them to bits. I wish I had them so I could run the teams that they run on. They elevate a ton of units on this list as well. Don't get it twisted, this guy, these guys all benefit from this unit. This unit, I think, will be one of those units that stays in this area for a long time. Then we have Gotenks. Gotenks is a difficult one to evaluate because we've only had them for so long, but what I like a lot about Gotenks is that RNG factor. He can, at certain times, be the most dominant force in the game, and then also, you know, be incinerated by a super attack. It's kind of a fun deal. It makes Gotenks make sense. It's how he functions as a unit. So I like that about him. And yeah, I think he's awesome. So yeah. Now we come to the final four, and yeah, controversial, this, that, blah blah blah, fish paste. I'm gonna do this, and I think this is where I'm at. Everyone will say, oh, Beast Gohan, not in your top 3. No. He's 4th. For me, he's not as good as Broly. I like Broly more. In the discussion, yes, blah 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 blah. Broly's awesome. I'm a Broly fan. Just accept it. He is, to me, 0.5% better than Gohan, no matter what. That's just how it is. Both are excellent. Absolutely excellent. First slot tanks. Enable their team. Do so much more. Broly, AoE damage, big damage, good defense, huge monstrous force that can just sit in that first slot, soak in the damage, be what you want him to be. Gohan is the exact same thing. Gohan's intercept could arguably push him ahead of Broly, without a doubt. I, for one, like Broly's levels of damage and consistency that he brings, the interrupt he brings. I like what he has, and the way it encompasses the rest of his team. The way he enables his team, for me, is crucial. Then we come to the top 2. I'm going to be honest, Gohan is one of those units you're either going to have like here, or someone's going to have him like here, because he is such a offensive force. The family Kamehameha is so powerful, and the way it functions, the standby ability of having Gohan be a ginormous first slot tank on super class based teams while the standby skill is active, means that functionally you have exactly what you need for almost any hard fight. You have a unit that's going to enable the rest of your team, that's going to be able to first slot for the rest of that team, that's going to do huge damage upon the active skill, and you can easily argue for him to be number 1. What makes these guys number 1, for me, at least at this point in time, is the forcing super attacks. I know it is something people hear a lot, but the ability to see where supers are is unequivocally the most powerful mechanic in the game, and thus by default, if these guys are anywhere remotely close to being in the top 5, they will be the best unit. As long as their stats keep them here, the heal, the forcing of super attack abilities, and the way their offense functions leaves them here without a doubt. That is my top, well, I would say 10, but really 16. And you could probably remove these guys and make it 15, but we'll keep it a secret. That's my top 10 tier list for the end of 2024. If a new LR is released, unlucky for me. I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.